What if everything you've been taught about the divine is a carefully crafted illusion? Hidden deep within the sands of time, ancient Gnostic texts, some dismissed as heretical, others destroyed outright, whisper of a cosmic deception that could shatter the foundation of modern faiths. Among these forbidden scrolls is the Apocryphon of John, a text discovered in the 1945 Nag Hammadi Library in Egypt. It speaks of a being named Iodebarth, the Demiurge, an arrogant, blind creator who shaped the material world out of ignorance and claimed it as his own. But here's the twist: this being is not the true God. In the Gnostic cosmology, Iodebarth is born of Sophia, a celestial figure in the pleroma, or the fullness of divine realms. Without consent from the ultimate source, she created him in a moment of error, giving rise to a malformed entity filled with chaotic power. And when he saw the creation which surrounded him, and the multitude of angels around him, he said, "I am God, and there is no other God beside me," states the Apocryphon of John. But the Gnostics argue that his arrogance blinds him to a greater truth. Above him lies an incomprehensible and benevolent divine realm, one he could never reach. Here's where things get unsettling. The Gnostics believed Iodebarth forged the material world to entrap human souls, enslaving them through desire, fear, and ignorance. He and his archons, cosmic rulers, designed religions and hierarchies to maintain control, portraying himself as the sole god to ensure humanity's submission. Could it be that the systems guiding our lives are the very chains that keep us bound to this false creator? The implications ripple across history. Consider the striking parallels between Iodebarth and the vengeful deity of the Old Testament. A god who floods the earth, demands sacrifice, and enforces obedience through fear aligns eerily with Gnostic descriptions of the Demiurge. But mainstream religion suppressed these interpretations, erasing texts and persecuting those who dare to question the dominant narrative. The Council of Nicaea in 325 CE, a pivotal moment in Christian history, solidified a canon that excluded Gnostic teachings. What truths were buried in the process? Could the spiritual awakening that the Gnostics pursued threaten the power structures of the church and state? After all, the Gnostics claimed that enlightenment comes not from worship, but from inner knowledge, a direct connection to the true divine spark within us. Modern science adds a curious dimension to the story. Physicists exploring the nature of the universe reveal a reality that seems simulated, governed by rules and patterns, as though designed by a flawed programmer. Could the matrix-like nature of existence point back to Iodebarth's imperfect creation? If our material reality is but a cage, then breaking free would require seeing through the illusion. Sophia, the eternal symbol of wisdom and divine femininity, carries a tale both luminous and tragic. She was not just a celestial being, but a force of creation within the pleroma, the realm of divine light and perfection. Yet, her story is a warning of the perils of ambition unchecked by harmony with the divine order. According to the ancient Gnostic texts, Sophia acted alone, an act of creation born not of malice, but of yearning and curiosity. She sought to emulate the creative power of the Supreme Source, but without the consent of the pleroma, her creation emerged flawed and incomplete. From her bold experiment came Iodebarth, a malformed and monstrous being whose birth was a calamity to the higher realms. Described as possessing the face of a lion and the body of a serpent, Iodebarth embodied arrogance and ignorance, unaware of the divine source that gave rise to him. He is wickedness, states the Apocryphon of John, because he said, "I am God, and there is no other God besides me." In his delusion, Iodebarth became the architect of a world that mirrors the higher heavens but is corrupted, filled with suffering, imperfection, and death. Banished to the lower realms, Sophia wept for her mistake. Her tears became the material substance of the flawed universe, while Iodebarth fashioned it into a kingdom where he reigned supreme. He created the archons, subordinate rulers, to govern this counterfeit reality. Together, they enslaved the fragments of divine light, human souls, imprisoning them in bodies and binding them to cycles of birth, suffering, and death. Does this tragedy offer a lens through which to view our broken world? The Gnostics believe so. The chaos of human existence, war, disease, inequality, was seen as a reflection of Eldebartha's ignorant dominion, a realm ruled by a false god blind to the true source of light. Even the structure of our societies, with their hierarchies, laws, and imposed beliefs, mirrors the Archon's control. In this light, the imperfections and injustices of the material world are not accidents but symptoms of its flawed origins. Sophia's story, however, is not without hope. Gnostic texts reveal that while she was cast into the lower realms, she retained a connection to the higher divine light. From her essence came the divine spark implanted in humanity, a fragment of the true pleroma hidden within every soul. This spark is the key to liberation, the path to awakening and returning to the source beyond the illusory chains of the material world. Consider the resonance of this tale with human experience. Throughout history, the pursuit of wisdom, whether through science, philosophy, or spirituality, has been met with resistance. Could it be that this struggle reflects the larger cosmic conflict, the battle between the ignorant of Yaldabaoth and the divine spark of Sophia within us? Sophia's tragedy also highlights the duality of creation, the interplay of light and darkness, ignorance and wisdom, suffering and redemption. Her fall and her sorrow gave rise to the world we know, yet her enduring connection to the pleroma offers a promise of return. The material world, as flawed as it may be, is not devoid of purpose. It is a crucible, a place where souls, awakened to their divine spark, can transcend the tyranny of the Demiurge and reclaim their place in the true light. In the shadowy depths of the cosmos, a declaration echoed that would shape the destiny of humanity. I am God, and there is no other. These words spoken by Derbath. The damage marked the beginning of an age of tyranny, a reign designed to blind humanity to its divine origins. This being born of error and isolation emerged with the grotesque form of a lion's head and a serpent's body. The Apocryphon of John paints him not as a creator in harmony with the cosmos, but as a false god, ignorant of the supreme source of light, from which he unknowingly descended. In his arrogance, Yaldabaoth created the Archons, a hierarchy of lesser rulers whose sole purpose was to enforce his dominion. These Archons, described as sinister entities with grotesque forms, became the gatekeepers of a counterfeit reality, a material world built to mimic the divine pleroma, but corrupted by ignorance and chaos. Within this world, human souls were trapped, encased in fragile bodies prone to decay, suffering, and death. But why imprison humanity in this cycle of despair? According to the Gnostics, Yaldabaoth feared the spark of the divine that lay hidden within each soul, a fragment of the true light, gifted by Sophia, his unwitting mother. This spark held the potential to awaken humanity to its divine heritage and shatter the illusion of Yaldabaoth's supremacy. To prevent this, he constructed a world that enslaved the soul through the senses, binding it with desires, fears, and distractions. The Apocryphon of John describes Yaldabaoth as creation of Adam, the first human, as a perverse act of mimicry. He formed the body from clay but was unable to animate it until Sophia, out of compassion, breathed her light into the figure. This divine spark brought Adam to life but also exposed Yaldabaoth's vulnerability. He and his Archons devised ways to suppress humanity's awareness, introducing ignorance and false teachings to keep the spark dormant. Look around at the world we inhabit, a realm marked by suffering, injustice, and impermanence. Could these be the hallmarks of Yaldabaoth's flawed creation? Wars, famines, and the endless pursuit of material wealth seem designed to distract us from introspection, from the inner light that could lead us to freedom. Even religious institutions, meant to guide humanity to the divine, often serve as instruments of control, reinforcing fear and obedience rather than enlightenment. The Gnostic perspective offers a radical reinterpretation of sacred texts. Consider the jealous, vengeful God of the Old Testament, who demands exclusive worship and punishes disobedience. His actions, strikingly similar to the behaviors of Iodabarth, suggest that the tyrant god of Gnostic lore may not be a mere myth, but a veiled truth hidden in plain sight. Even the natural cycles of life and death, which we accept as the order of things, take on a sinister tone in the Gnostic narrative. Birth becomes a trap, reincarnating the soul into another body, binding it further to the material realm. Death, rather than liberation, becomes another mechanism of control, as the soul's journey is obscured by the Archon's barriers. Yet the Gnostics believed that liberation was possible. Through gnosis, or direct knowledge of the divine, individuals could awaken to the truth of their origins. This awakening, however, required piercing the veil of Iodabarth's illusion and confronting the fearsome Archons. Such an act of defiance was not without risk, as the forces of ignorance would fight to maintain their grip. Could the material world itself be a grand illusion, a prison designed to suppress humanity's awakening? The more one examines the layers of control, political systems, societal norms, and even our own desires, the more the Gnostic narrative resonates. Iodabarth's reign, though vast, is not unbreakable. The divine spark within humanity burns brighter than his ignorance, a constant reminder that even in the depths of darkness, the true light cannot be extinguished. Despite her fall into chaos, Sophia, the embodiment of divine wisdom, ensured that humanity would not be left defenseless in Iodabarth's shadowy dominion. From her infinite sorrow came an act of defiance and hope. She embedded a piece of her own divine essence, a fragment of the infinite light, into humanity itself. This spark of gnosis lies dormant within each of us, a hidden key to liberation from the false reality crafted by the tyrant god. According to Gnostic teachings, this spark is our most sacred inheritance, a connection to the true source of the universe beyond Iodabarth as counterfeit creation. It is the seed of enlightenment, planted by Sophia to awaken humanity to the knowledge of its divine origins. However, this very spark is what makes us targets in the grand cosmic scheme. Iodabarth, aware of its presence, has orchestrated a world designed to smother and suppress it, fearing the loss of his dominion should humanity rise to reclaim its birthright. The suffering of the world, far from being random or accidental, is seen by the Gnostics as a deliberate construct of the Demiurge. Through a carefully orchestrated web of distractions, systems of control, and cycles of fear, Iodabarth and his Archons maintain humanity's ignorance. War, disease, poverty, and even the allure of material pleasures serve to bind the soul to the physical world, keeping it too preoccupied to seek the light within. The Gnostics taught that every individual possesses the potential for gnosis, the direct experimental knowledge of the divine. This awakening, however, requires piercing the veil of illusion spun by Iodabarth and his servants. It is not an easy path. The Archons, described as oppressive cosmic forces, wield influence over thoughts and emotions, creating barriers to spiritual realization. Even organized religion, often viewed as humanity's guiding force, has been co-opted to enforce submission to the false god. Sophia's gift of the divine spark was her act of rebellion, a beacon in the darkness. "You are all children of the light," she whispers through the ages, urging humanity to look beyond the illusions of the material world. The ancient texts describe how the Gnostics sought to ignite this spark through meditation, introspection, and the rejection of Iodabarth as false constructs. They believed that salvation was not a gift bestowed by an external deity, but an awakening to the inner divine that Iodabarth desperately sought to obscure. Could the chaos and conflict we see in the world today be part of Iodabarth's grand design? Consider how systems of control operate on every level, from societal hierarchies to the bombardment of consumerism, to distract and disempower. These mechanisms align eerily with the Gnostic narrative, painting a picture of a calculated effort to suppress human potential and maintain ignorance. Yet, amidst the turmoil, Sophia's spark endures, waiting to be kindled. In moments of profound insight, acts of selfless love, In the relentless pursuit of truth, this divine essence shines through. It is what drives humanity to question, to challenge, and to seek beyond the visible. This relentless search for meaning terrifies Yulderbath, for it threatens to unravel the very fabric of his dominion. In the Gnostic worldview, Yulderbath's genius lies in his ability to craft illusions so convincing that they are mistaken for reality. Institutional religions, with their hierarchies and rituals, were tools in his arsenal to enforce his dominion. The Gnostics argued that these religions promote the worship of a god who demands obedience and instills fear, rather than guiding seekers to the true source of divine light. The commandments and creeds, they said, were not pathways to liberation, but chains that tightened humanity's bondage to the material realm. Consider the centralization of religious authority throughout history. The Council of Nicaea in 325 CE, often celebrated as the foundation of Orthodox Christianity, was also a moment when dissenting voices, particularly the Gnostics, were silenced. Texts that diverged from the accepted narrative were labeled heretical, banned, and destroyed. The Gospel of Thomas, the Apocryphon of John, and others that revealed the spark of divinity within humanity were systematically suppressed. Could it be that these texts posed a threat to the power structures aligned with Eldbarth as false creation? The Gnostics believed so. They saw mainstream religion as a mechanism to perpetuate ignorance, reinforcing the illusion of separation from the divine pleroma, the true source of light and unity. By externalizing the divine, placing it in the heavens in priests or in books, the archons ensured humanity would not look inward to find the divine spark placed within them by Sophia. This deliberate misdirection kept souls trapped in the material world, dependent on intermediaries for salvation, rather than realizing they held the key to liberation all along. Why has this knowledge been so vehemently suppressed? History offers chilling examples. The Cathar Crusade of the 13th century saw the annihilation of the Cathars, a Gnostic-like sect in southern France, who rejected the material world as the creation of an evil god. Their libraries were burned, their teachings obliterated, and their people massacred. The Inquisition that followed sought to root out any remnants of similar beliefs, erasing traces of alternative spiritual paths. Even today, the lingering echoes of Gnostic thought face resistance. Organized religion, entrenched in centuries of power, dismisses such ideas as dangerous or blasphemous. But why such hostility to the notion that the divine resides within us all? Could it be that recognizing this truth would undermine the hierarchies and systems that thrive on humanity's dependency and obedience? The Gnostics spoke of a veil of illusion, a grand deception that blinds humanity to its true nature. Religions, they said, are the architects of this veil, offering just enough truth to appear sacred while concealing the path to awakening. The rituals, doctrines, and sacred spaces are designed to externalize the divine, distracting seekers from the gnosis, the direct knowledge that would liberate them. Yet, fragments of this hidden truth persist. Mystics across traditions have spoken of a direct connection to the divine, unmediated by institutions or dogmas. From the Sufis of Islam to the Kabbalists of Judaism, from the Christian mystics to the Buddhists who seek enlightenment, echoes of the Gnostic message reverberate. The kingdom of heaven is within. If these teachings were fully embraced, humanity might awaken to the divine spark within and shatter the chains of Eldbarth's dominion. This realization threatens not only the false god, but the earthly powers that uphold his system of control. Could this be why the Gnostics were so fervently silenced, their writings buried, and their truths ridiculed? Salvation, the Gnostics taught, is not a gift bestowed by an external god. It is not earned through obedience, ritual, or blind faith. Instead, it lies in gnosis, a profound inner knowledge that awakens the soul to its true divine origin. This secret path, shrouded in mystery and suppressed by religious authorities, is the ultimate weapon against the tyrannical rule of Eldbarth, the false creator, and his illusory material realm. The Apocryphon of John, one of the most pivotal Gnostic texts, redefines the role of Christ in human history. Here, Christ is not the redeemer of sin, but the bringer of light, a divine emissary from the Pleroma sent to expose the deception of the Demiurge. His purpose was to remind humanity of the divine spark embedded within by Sophia, the spark that Eldebarth has desperately sought to suppress. Christ's message was revolutionary. The path to freedom does not lie in worshiping a jealous God or adhering to external laws, but in awakening to the divine light within oneself. This concept of gnosis, direct, experimental knowledge of the divine, is at the heart of Gnostic spirituality. It is not a belief or an intellectual understanding, but a transformative realization of the soul's true nature. Through gnosis, the soul recognizes that it is not bound to the material world, that it is not a creation of the Demiurge, but a fragment of the infinite light of the Pleroma. The path to gnosis is not easy. The archons Yuldabath's enforcers weave illusions and distractions to keep the soul tethered to the material world. The relentless pursuit of wealth, the fear of death, and even the comforting rituals of institutional religion serve to obscure the truth. The Gnostics understood this struggle, describing the journey to awakening as a battle against forces of ignorance and control. The teachings of Christ in the Gnostic texts are strikingly different from the dogmas of Orthodox Christianity. In the Gospel of Thomas, a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus, he declares, "The kingdom of God is within you and all around you, not in mansions of wood and stone. Split a piece of wood and I am there. Lift the stone and you will find me." This message aligns with the Gnostic belief that the divine is not external but immanent, woven into the very fabric of existence and accessible through introspection and enlightenment. But why has this secret path been hidden for so long? The Gnostics believed that the suppression of gnosis was part of Yuldabath's grand design. By fostering dependency on external authorities, whether religious, political, or societal, the false creator ensured that humanity would remain trapped in ignorance, unable to recognize its divine heritage. The suppression of Gnostic texts and the persecution of their followers throughout history were not just acts of religious intolerance, but calculated efforts to keep this dangerous knowledge buried. Awakening to gnosis is a profound act of rebellion. It is the realization that the soul's destiny is not bound to the flawed material world, but lies beyond, in the infinite light of the Pleroma. Through practices of introspection, meditation, and seeking the truth, the soul can transcend the limitations of the physical realm and reconnect with the divine source. The Gnostics describe this process as a journey of remembrance, a return to the knowledge of who we truly are, beyond the illusions of the Demiurge creation. The implications of gnosis are transformative. If the material world is a prison, then awakening to one's divine nature is the key to freedom. If Yuldabartha's rule is built on ignorance, then knowledge is the weapon that dismantles his dominion. And if salvation is found within, then the structures of power that demand obedience crumble in the face of individual enlightenment. The Gnostics offered a path to liberation, one that bypassed the oppressive hierarchies of religion and society. They believe that every soul holds the potential for gnosis, for awakening to the divine light that no false creator can extinguish. Their message, though buried and maligned, endures a whisper through the ages, calling humanity to rise, to remember, and to reclaim its place in the infinite light. In the grand drama of existence, the forces of light and darkness are not battling on distant celestial fields, but within each of us, here and now. The ancient Gnostics understood this truth, and sought to illuminate humanity's place in the ongoing cosmic war between the divine light of the Pleroma and the shadowy dominion of Eldebarth, the Demiurge. This battle is not waged with weapons or armies, but through consciousness, awakening, and the pursuit of truth. Eldebarth, blinded by arrogance and ignorance, constructed the material world as a prison, a counterfeit reality designed to ensnare humanity in cycles of birth, suffering, and death. His archons, described in Gnostic texts as malevolent cosmic rulers, perpetuate his tyranny through fear, discord, and distraction. Their influence extends into the very fabric of human society, manifesting in the chaos of war, systemic inequality, and the relentless pursuit of material desires. But Sophia, the divine embodiment of wisdom, embedded humanity with a secret weapon, her spark, a fragment of the infinite light of the pleroma. This spark, hidden within every soul, serves as a beacon of hope and rebellion, urging us to rise above the illusions of the Demiurge. The Gnostics believed that this inner light held the power to not only liberate individuals, but to dismantle Eldebartha's dominion entirely. The Apocryphon of John offers a profound prophecy. When enough of humanity awakens to their divine spark and embraces Gnosis, the false world of Yaldabaoth will collapse. This revelation suggests that humanity is not merely a victim of the cosmic war, but a critical participant. Our awakening is the key to overthrowing the tyranny of the false creator and restoring the divine light to its rightful place. To understand humanity's role in this cosmic plan, one must first grasp the stakes of the war. Yaldabartha's creation is inherently flawed, a shadow of the true divine order. Its imperfections, suffering, death, greed, are not accidents but deliberate constructs designed to maintain control. The Archons thrive on humanity's ignorance and fear, weaving illusions that keep us tethered to the material world. Even the systems we rely on, from governments to religious institutions, often serve as extensions of this control, reinforcing dependence and submission. Yet, the spark of Sophia endures. It flickers in moments of love, wisdom, and creativity, reminding humanity of its true origin. Awakening to this spark is an act of profound defiance, a rejection of Yaldabaoth as claim to divinity. The Gnostics taught that through introspection, meditation, and the pursuit of Gnosis, direct knowledge of the divine, souls could transcend the illusions of the material world and reconnect with the infinite light of the pleroma. This awakening is not without struggle. The Archons, fearing the loss of their power, wage a relentless war on the minds and souls of humanity. Their weapons are subtle yet pervasive, fear-mongering through media, the glorification of materialism, and the perpetuation of divisive ideologies. By keeping humanity distracted and divided, they prevent the collective realization of Gnosis, which could unravel their dominion. But what if enough of humanity breaks free from these chains? The Gnostics envisioned a tipping point, a moment when the collective awakening of souls would shatter the false reality constructed by Yaldabaoth. This collapse would not be an apocalyptic destruction, but a profound transformation, a return to the divine harmony of the pleroma. The Gnostic vision places humanity at the heart of the cosmic war. Each soul that awakens to its divine spark contributes to the weakening of Yaldabartha's reign. This is why the suppression of Gnostic knowledge has been so pervasive throughout history. The Church, the state, and other structures of power have sought to extinguish the Gnostic message, branding it heresy and burying its texts. But the truth cannot be entirely erased. Fragments of this forbidden knowledge resurface time and again, calling to those who are ready to hear. The story of Sophia and the Demiurge is more than an ancient myth. It is a blueprint for liberation, a call to awaken to the divine reality obscured by the illusions of the material world. The Gnostics left behind this knowledge as a beacon for those ready to challenge the false creator's dominion and reclaim their divine heritage. The war between Eldebartha's darkness and Sophia's light is not a distant tale. It is the story of every human soul. It is the struggle between ignorance and wisdom, between fear and love, between the chains of the material world and the freedom of divine awakening. In this cosmic battle, the most potent weapon is not power or wealth but Gnosis, the inner knowledge of one's true nature. Through Gnosis, humanity can transcend the illusion, dismantle the control of the Archons, and restore the balance of the cosmos. The divine spark within each of us is not just a fragment of Sophia's essence, it is a reminder that we are part of something greater, a connection to the infinite light that no force of darkness can extinguish. So the question remains, not as a rhetorical pondering, but as an urgent choice. Will you continue to worship the illusion, or will you seek the light within? Uldabartha's reign depends on humanity's ignorance, but his dominion is fragile. The spark of Sophia is a seed of rebellion, a call to awaken and reclaim the divine birthright that has been obscured for millennia. The world may seem chaotic, but chaos is the symptom of a larger battle. The forces of light and darkness vie for the soul of humanity, and the outcome depends on whether enough of us can see through the illusion and embrace the truth. The Gnostics believed in the possibility of victory, a moment when the veil of deception would be lifted and the light of the pleroma would shine once more. The choice is yours. The spark is within you, waiting to be kindled. Will you answer Sophia's call, reject the false god, and awaken to your divine nature? Or will you remain in the comfort of ignorance, perpetuating the illusion that binds the world? The stakes have never been higher, and the secret you were never meant to know is now yours to embrace or ignore.